All right, that would be great, and then I'll be able
I'll
to
do that
speak.
now.
Okay. Sorry, everybody. Sorry, everybody. Right. Hello. Let's start again. My name's Carl. Welcome to this TEFL org live webinar, which has started pretty poorly, and I apologize for that. We had the tech all going fine. One of the problems of teaching online at the moment is the tech. So first of all, if you are thinking about getting into online teaching, get your tech sorted. So one of the questions we've been asked a bit is, how much do I need to spend on the tech? And what I would say to you is, be careful with spending too much on setting yourself up with new technology. The reason being is because the people that you go and then work for, a recruiter, they might have a certain type of operating system that you need to have. So for example, some schools, they don't like people to use Macs. They don't like people to use tablets. They want people to use Windows and a PC, that kind of thing, and a desktop. So just be careful that you go and spend too much on tech to go and work for a recruiter when actually it doesn't fit what they want you to have. And they will check that. They will ask you to maybe send through some sort of specifications. They might ask you to send a screenshot. I have also had recruiters where they've asked me to take a photo of my setup with my phone. So I get a picture of my desktop, all that kind of thing, and send that in just to make sure that they have exactly what they want the teachers to have. So first of all, just make sure that you are all set up correctly with what you need to do. Don't spend too much if you're going to go into online teaching. Now, if you go and work for a recruiter, they will have probably, not always, they will probably expect you to use their web browser to get into their web page or their software that they have built into their web pages, and then you teach the students through their web browser. So that takes out things like using Zoom, things like using Skype, things like using Google Classroom, all that kind of thing, Microsoft Teams, because you're just going to use the software that they use through their web browser. Okay. Or they might expect you to use something like Zoom. They might expect you to use something like Skype. Okay. So just, have that. And now none of that is really too expensive. None of that you need a really super expensive computer to get going on. So just make sure you've got, you don't go spend too much, and make sure you hit the requirements that you needed. Okay. Personally, I like to have a desktop. They seem to be more powerful than laptops. I also don't like the position of the webcam on a laptop. I don't think it works very well. Okay, so I think me personally, I like to have a desktop. I like to be able to have my set office. I like to have a couple of screens going, all that kind of thing. But I've been teaching online for a good few years. Okay, so I still can't see the comments coming in. So my friend Alan is going to be putting the comments in for us. Okay, so got one here from Philip Frika. I'm sorry if I haven't pronounced that right. I will be living in Poland. Would like to teach business English and English to young people. What credentials do I need? What opportunities might there be? Okay, so Philip, basically, what if you're going to go work for a company abroad, or if you're going to go teach online, they tend to, the companies and the recruiters want a minimum of 120-hour TEFL course. Okay, like something like we provide here at TEFL org. Okay, and what that means is basically some sort of course where you study the fundamentals of TEFL, okay, through things like how to teach grammar, how to teach skills, maybe goes into a little bit about needs analysis, all that kind of thing. And if you've got that certification, that is generally enough for you to go and work somewhere or work for someone. Okay, so what credentials do you need? Basically, the most important thing is to have this 120-hour course. Okay, then from that, if you're going to go work for a company, they will then set you up with the classes. So they might have lots of business English students. They'll come and you go teach that. or they might have lots of young learners. You go to teach that. You generally don't have too much choice because the company that recruits you or the company you go and work for will decide kind of what you teach. Okay. There are opportunities in basically anywhere where they learn English. Now, broadly, it's split into two different camps. You can go teach adults or you go teach kids. Okay. And within adults, there's lots of different types of teaching. There's business English, there's IELTS, exam preparation, there's just general English, that kind of thing. And, you know, generally there's a big market anywhere in the world because most of the world wants to learn English. And then if not lots of parts of the world, the parents want their kids to learn. So there are definitely opportunities in Poland, I'm sure. Okay, good. Tertia, hello. Teaching English in France is my question. Well, that's not actually a question, but as in, do you want to go teach in France, Tertia? I'm gonna say yes. That's probably what you want, right? France is one of the more difficult European countries to get work in. Why? There isn't the same drive in France to learn English as there is in, say, Spain, Italy, Eastern Europe. Okay, the French seem to be a bit more, I speak French. It's okay for me to just speak French. I don't really need to learn English. And so there's not actually the opportunity to do that. However, I know a few people that have set themselves up as independent teachers in France. Okay, so basically they've flown themselves over there, or they already live out there, and they've found themselves some private students through posting adverts on things like Gumtree, posting things up on like Facebook pages, that kind of thing, or even just putting posters up around train stations, all that kind of thing. All right, so there is work there. There are language schools in France. You don't tend to see them advertised to people outside of France. So, you know, you tend to not see so many adverts on TEFL.org's website or on things like Dave's Cafe, ESL Cafe to find work. Okay. So France tends to be, you have to fly over there or you have to go over there and then you go door to door to language schools. Hello, I'm here. My name's Tertia. Can I have some work, please? Okay. So I hope that figures out. There's not that much work for you that's out there. Okay. Good. Right. Love a question. Hello, Anna Rosanska. Hello. I've just passed my TEFL 120-hour course. It would be great to know how to go about finding my first online work. I have no idea where to start. Lovely question, Anna. Anna, on our blog pages on the TEFL.org website, we have lots of information about how to get yourselves going as an online teacher. Basically, you've got a couple of routes. You could go into working for a recruiter. Now, this is probably going to get you up and running the quickest, Anna. So you'll see recruiters that are advertising for teachers to come and work for them online. You submit something, submit an application. You might have to submit your CV, all that kind of thing, show copies of your certificates, all this kind of thing, like you would any sort of job that you're going for. They might then ask you to have an interview. They might ask you to do a video of a dummy lesson online, all that kind of thing. Plenty of stuff on the internet to help you find the sort of things you need to do. My tip for a dummy lesson is to make sure that you're sort of including the students. Don't make it like a lecture. Try and include them a bit and sort of pause for a bit where you would get them to speak and all that kind of thing. All right. Then the recruiter, if they accept you, they will have you go work for them, and they will have you teaching probably a few hours to start. And if the students like you, and if you know, you're quite professional, that kind of thing, then hours build up step by step as you go through the weeks. Okay. So that's one way of doing it, to teach online. The other way would be to set yourself up as an independent online teacher. So that way, basically, you have to find the students yourself. You have to do all the lesson planning yourself. There's no materials, all that kind of thing. That takes longer because, you know, you're not going to be able to find a lot of students straight away to get yourself going. Okay. So my recommendation to you is work for a recruiter, but at the same time, try and set yourself up online yourself. Try and find a niche that you want to teach. So you could be Anna the business English presentations teacher. That way, if you've got a little small niche, you can target your advertising a bit more, and students are much more likely to come to you because you're that girl that can do that. Don't set yourself up as Anna, the English teacher, because you'll be in a lot more competition with lots of different people, and that might not help you. Okay, that's your 2 routes into online teaching, Anna. Lots of videos in the past that you can go back and look at on this page, where I talk a lot about how to set yourself up online teaching. Okay, good. Lovely name here, Shimmy Jimmy. Hello. My employer said even though the Chinese border has opened to foreign teachers again, I'm unable to get an invitation letter because the city government are not issuing them at the moment. Does anybody know anything about this? Yeah. So what I've heard, Shimmy Jimmy, and I love your name if that's your real name, is that Chinese, the position of getting people into jobs in China is quite regional at the moment. So, and what tends to happen is that recruiters will sort of say, come work in China, but there's not actually the vacancies maybe in the places where you want to go. And then once they actually try and fit you into a certain city, if that city is a bit COVID hot at the moment, or if that city is a bit worried about getting foreigners in, then they might not be able to give you the letters and the stuff that you need in order to get the visa. Okay, so I hope that helps you. So yeah, it is a bit of a thing. I would say keep trying and be a bit more flexible about where you want to work, Jimmy, and also try and go through some other different recruiters if that one that you're going through at the moment is not helping you. Okay. Hello, Elizabeth. Elizabeth Jane Hain. Hello. I'm doing 120 hours onto methodology. So you're on the methodology bit at the moment. I hope you're enjoying it. Love to teach abroad eventually. Okay. So at the moment, in the time of COVID, people might think that there's not that many opportunities to teach abroad, but actually I know some people that passed the course sort of in February time before the UK lockdown who are now starting to work abroad. Okay. So what I would say to you is there are definitely opportunities and there are definitely people recruiting out there at the moment. Okay. So and why are there vacancies? The reason being is because businesses have decided that they sort of got to get going, and that you know, English is a part of the education system, and they want the governments want their students to keep learning. Okay, so there are opportunities out there abroad. So what might you need to do now? Obviously, it depends where you want to go in the world. So China, for example, are quite strict at the moment in terms of quarantining people, in terms of issuing the visas. That's what I've heard. Whereas Europe might be a little bit more open if you've got an EU passport. Okay. So you might need to be a bit more, if you want to go teach abroad, you might need to be a bit of flexible at the moment about where you want to go. You might not be able to get your first choice because there might be lots of people that are trying to get there. Okay. So that's what I would say. Okay. So be flexible, keep applying, look for people advertising. There's people advertising on our website, TEFL.org's job website, which is part of our the pages that TEFL.org have. You'll see the jobs in there. Okay. You will also see adverts on eslcafe.com, that kind of thing, maybe Guardian Jobs, TEFL Jobs. You know, there's lots of TEFL websites out there where people advertise. See who's recruiting, see if it's a job that you fancy, go for it. Then number one thing you've got to think about probably at the moment is health insurance. What is the deal with the country you're going to if you get sick? All right. Will the company pay for your health insurance? You got to make sure that that's, you know, quite good. You got to make sure that will cover you, because you don't want to be massively out of pocket if you do somehow get sick in another country. I mean, this is something pre-COVID that we used to think about with health insurance. So just make sure that everything's okay. Make sure everything's fine and everything's good and secure. Ask to see it before you go over there, that kind of thing. All right. And then hopefully you'll be okay. All right. Personally, if I was looking to go abroad at the moment, I would think it would be fine. I think it would be the number of cases in England are a lot higher than some parts of the world. So, who's to say you're safer over there than you are over here? Okay. Hope that helps you there. Elizabeth, Tony, hello. I'm doing the TEFL because I'd like to teach English in Spain. Is there any point trying to move there if the teaching is online now due to COVID? Right. First thing is, Tony, I don't think all the teaching in Spain is online. I think there are schools that have started to open up in Spain. Now, Spain is quite regionalized in terms of how they're approaching it. So you might find in parts of Andalusia or Madrid where the cases are quite high that they're teaching online. But Spain's a big country, much bigger than the UK. You will find much bigger than England. Sorry, then you will find that there are vacancies all over. So it's regionalized, Tony. So yes, there is a point trying to move there at the moment. Okay, or what you'll find is you might have to teach from your flat in Spain online to the students that are just up and around near you. Okay, so yes, there is definitely opportunities about that. Okay, so I would still go for it if I were for you. Okay, if I were you. Hope that answers to you. There's definitely a point. This virus will either, in my non-scientific opinion, will either go away through things like vaccines and all that kind of thing, or people will just have to learn to live with it, and in that way people will go and work, go back into colleges, go back into schools, all that kind of thing. But I would look very carefully about where you want to work and see what the situation is there. Spain's a massive place. Hello, Elizabeth again. I would like to teach in Thailand. What is the best way to do this? Thank you. So Thailand, beautiful place to live. So I think the first thing you need to sort of think about is where you want to live and work in Thailand. Do you want to go and teach, do you want the dream of teaching near a beach, all that kind of thing? Why is that? So think about where you want to go. Are you happy to maybe go to some places where obviously when you think of Thailand, you think of Bangkok, then you think of Chiang Mai probably as the next big city. And then you might think of Koh Samui, Koh Phangan, all that kind of thing, like the big place you've heard of. But Thailand has a lot of big towns and big cities around. So do some research to see if you'd be happy to go outside of maybe the tourist places. Why? Because there's more vacancies. There's less competition, to go and work in some of these places. All right. So that just opens your options a bit. Okay. Recruit. If you're outside of Thailand, which I'm guessing you are, because you said you'd like to teach in Thailand. If you're outside of Thailand, Elizabeth, go to look online for job recruiters. Okay. You will see come work in Thailand, all that kind of thing. Just go from that. Again, you'll probably have some sort of online interview. You might have to do a demo lesson, that kind of thing. You might need to submit some of your lesson plans. I don't know what it would be, but there would be everybody has different, every recruiter has sort of maybe slightly different requirements that they want you to have. The standard ones being an interview and certifications. Okay. And then you just go from that. If they offer you the job, they will hopefully, and this goes for most of Asia, a good recruiter, a good school, something like that will help you with the visa. They'll help you with the flights, all that kind of thing. And you just go from that. And then step by step, you just do it. Can take about 2 or 3 months for everything to go through. That's what I'd say. Anne-me. Am I saying that right? Anne-me De Beer. Hello, I'm from South Africa and would love to go teach in Spain. How would I go about it, as my biggest worry is getting a work visa? So I'd love to go teach in Spain as well, but I'd also love to go teach in South Africa. I lived in Cape Town for a bit and I love that place. Right, Anne-me. So if you've just got a South African passport, if you haven't got dual nationality or anything like that with a European country, it can be difficult to get a work visa for parts of Europe. There's no way of getting about it, but it's not impossible at all. You would need to probably have to find yourself a job first and get given a job, and then you would the Spanish school would then hopefully be able to sponsor you from South Africa to get there. Okay. Right. The reason why a lot of Spanish schools don't want to do that is because there's always a lot of TEFL teachers already in Spain. Why would they take a chance on someone they don't know, helping them out with all of the paperwork, all that kind of thing? All right. So it can be difficult. If you are 100% sure that you want to go live in Spain and you're happy to do that, and you've got a few quid in your pocket, you might be better off getting yourself to Spain and then trying to find work once you're there and then get the visa once you're there. The problem with Spain is a lot of the work tends to be, have I gone out of focus? Yeah, a lot of the work tends to be a couple of hours here, a couple of hours there. Not often outside of the big cities will you get to work in one school for sort of 20 hours. Okay. A lot of the people I know who work in Spain, they do maybe 5 hours here, 5 hours there, got a little couple of private students here, private students there. Schools don't tend to employ people on full-time contracts. There are some out there, but they don't tend to in Spain. Okay. And because of that, they don't want to sponsor visas or that kind of thing. All right. You might be better off, and me, looking back to see if you can somehow get a European passport through some of your ancestry, because I know quite a few South Africans can get dual nationality that way. Okay. Suki, hello. Is there a difference between an online recruiter and websites such as VIP Kids? So, right. So if you're going to go teach online and you're going to go work for someone, you will have companies that will advertise, come work for us. Okay. And that's basically what I mean by an online recruiter. So they are a company. They will say, look, we have students, come work for us, come teach with us. We'll give you the materials, all that kind of thing. You teach through that. Browser or through whatever software they've asked you to use. And that you will also get some companies that are just like recruitment companies that will just to get you, and then they'll go and place you here, or working with different companies, that kind of thing. All right. Or they might match you up with students. The other way of doing it online is to set yourself up on something like Italki, where you are more of a boss. So you set your hourly rate and you set, this is what I'm going to go teach, all this kind of thing. And you find the students, and you'll see lots of people advertise themselves as, hi, I'm Carl, the business English teacher. Hi, I'm Mary, the pronunciation teacher, whatever it might be. Students look at you, they think, okay, I like this one, and then they sign up for some things like that. Okay, that's a different way of doing that. Okay, so go work for a company through some sort of online recruiter, through some sort of teaching English company that are fully online, or you go work for someone like Italki. Or the other final option is to set yourself up completely. You might set up your own website. You might set up your own Facebook page, all that kind of thing. Good. All right. I hope that helps you. Olivia, hello. Thank you for this super interesting video. I'm sorry it started so badly. I still haven't got over how badly it started. I can't believe we did that like that. We're usually pretty good. Sorry. So anyway, I'll carry on though. I got my TEFL certificate plus a PhD. All right, Olivia. All right, PhD girl. But I got the impression that most recruiters won't even consider non-native speakers. Am I being too pessimistic here? Yes, I think you are, Olivia. There are recruiters that will take on non-native speakers for sure. Okay. We have pages on our website where we help people, where we show companies that will take on non-native speakers. What I would suggest, Olivia, with your, PhD, TEFL certificate, all that kind of thing, why not try now alongside applying for jobs, and keep applying for jobs? You will get something eventually. Set yourself up as Olivia, Dr. Olivia, I don't know. And what you might want to do with a PhD is go down the route of teaching academic English, or teaching proofreading or exams English, because that's a PhD stands out to me about that. You set yourself up as your own website, you find your own web page, you make your own web page, and you see if you can get students through your own way that way, or go through Italki, that kind of thing. All right. Unfortunately, there is a stigma the right word? I don't know. There is some negativity in TEFL, as in the industry of teaching English as a foreign language, not our page in teaching English as a foreign language. towards non-native speakers. People think that a non-native speaker cannot teach English as well as a native speaker, which is complete swear word. So unfortunately there is that, and part of that comes from middle class parents around the world who kind of want their students to have a native English speaking teacher as a bit of a show off kind of thing. Unfortunately, you will get work, Olivia. All right, good. Emma Smith. Hello, Emma. I can't see your photo, but I think you're the person that's been tuning in and asking me questions for weeks. I hope you're doing okay. Hi, you're up and running and teaching online. Well done. But I'm used to teaching to a curriculum and I need something to base my lesson planning on. Good one. Is there a TEFL alternative version to get me going until I become well used to the levels, etc.? Hope you are well. Emma, I am well. Thank you. I hope you are too. I'm really happy that you've got yourself up and teaching online, because I know you've only, it's been a bit of a going for you, but I'm glad you're up and running. Everyone, keep going at it. Emma is pure inspiration about how you can get yourself going teaching online. Right, a curriculum. Right, that's an interesting one. So if you want to find a quick and easy curriculum, what I would do is find textbooks and find the contents pages of textbooks and use that as a curriculum. Now I'm just going to have a quick look if I've got a textbook there. Yes, I have. So for example, this is an IELTS textbook. And if you look in the front pages, you'll get something like this, which will tell you, okay, right, speaking, we're going to cover this, exchanging personal information, vocabulary, we're going to do this, listening, we're going to listen for gist, reading, we're going to skim for gist, writing, we're going to look at doing figures. And you would start there and you would go through it. And if you've got, you would have to get the level of your student, then you think, okay, this student is a pre-intermediate student. You then find yourself a pre-intermediate textbook in the field they want to learn. Exam prep, such as one like that, general English or business English, whatever it might be. And you would go step by step from that contents cover. And you'd think, okay, right, in the textbook, they teach this first. So why don't I teach that first? Then they would teach this second. Okay, I'll teach that second. And you go through it step by step. I hope that helps you, Emma. I hope that I'm being clear with that. Use the table of contents at the start of a textbook as your curriculum. Hope that helps. I won't be able to see the comments there, but just let me know if that helps, Emma. Everyone, and then it doesn't have to be general English. It can also be business English or exam English, whatever it might be. Okay. Use that. Good. All right. Okay, good. Lauren, hello. You're teaching Andalusia, Spain. Oh, lovely. Love Andalusia. I love Almeria. It's beautiful around there. The schools are open. Very lucky to be here. Good. Hoping that the schools will remain open and things will be all right. So there we go. Who was it? I don't know before who was asking about going to Spain. Is there any point? Lauren is showing you that the schools are open and everything's up and running. Okay. Nick, hello. What are the potential for short-term or few months contracts, summer camps? Right. Well, we're now in autumn, Nick. So there's usually in the UK a lot of TEFL work in June, July, August, for example. Sometimes even starting in May, because a lot of teenagers from Europe or even from Asia come over to places like London, Brighton, Dublin, Edinburgh, Liverpool, that kind of thing. You'll decamp there, and then the school will pay you for 2 months work, 3 months work, whatever it might be. They'll usually put you up in some accommodation, so you go and live with near the students. So the students might be in the building over there and you want a building over here. You sort of all live next to each other, all that kind of thing. All right. And that is a lovely bit of work for June, July, August. Okay. That didn't happen this year. Okay. Obviously for certain things. So if you're now looking for short-term contracts, Nick, if you've got an EU passport, probably the best thing to do if you're looking for just 2 or 3 months work would be to go somewhere of a city that you want to work in, a city that you're quite happy to go live in, and see if you could go get a term's work at a school there. All right. So you might fly to, let's say, Rome. Okay. You might fly to Rome. There's lots of language schools in Rome. You set yourself up with some accommodation somewhere there, and then you go and work for a term somewhere, and then you leave because you've not signed a 12-month contract or that kind of thing. You just do that. You don't often see adverts for come work for us for 3 months. Doesn't mean they don't exist. I have seen some, but not very often do you see come work for us for 3 months. If you want to go to Asia, even less chance of a sort of short-term contract if you're outside of the country. So if you're in the UK and you want to go to China or Japan, not much chance really of finding a 3-month contract. If you look at someone like Westgate to go work for in Japan, they might do a 3-month contract or a 4-month contract, but you don't often see that abroad. Okay. Best thing would be for you to fly somewhere cheap that you're quite happy to live in and see if you can then find it when you're there. Okay. Hope that helps you there, Nick. Yuki, hello. You're totally new to this. We were all totally new to this at some point. Could you touch on the differences between TEFL Level 5, Advanced, TESOL, and CELTA? Right. So my industry, and I've been teaching in it for approaching 20 years, and I have a 120-hour TEFL certificate. I have a CELTA, a Delta, and I have a master's in teaching English as a foreign language. Oh, sorry, and a bachelor's of teaching English as a foreign language. So what are the difference between them all? And this industry loves to throw letters, right? So the ones you've put there are TEFL Level 5, so advanced. So you could do the 120-hour course, and that will get you work. We have found that some companies are now looking for something more than a 120-hour course. So that would be the Level 5 course. So that is basically the 120-hour course plus some added extra hours, and that just gives you a slightly better chance of getting work compared to the 120-hour course because your certificate has just covered a bit more. You've done a bit more. That makes you stand out a bit. So the 120 hours will get you jobs. Okay. You will see people, companies advertising, schools advertising for people who have 120-hour certificates. You do that. That will get you work. All right. Now, there is also a course called a CELTA, a CELTA, and that tends to be a 1-month intensive course where you have to basically put your life on hold for a month, and you go to a school every day, and you learn how to teach in the mornings, and then in the afternoon you do practical courses. It's a lot more expensive, and I'm talking way more, like I think it's about $2 and a bit grand for a CELTA, might even be more than that, whereas a TEFL course is a lot cheaper. Like the Level 5 is a lot cheaper than that. So you'd have a lot of money up front, plus you'd have no money coming in from working, because when you're doing that CELTA course, you can't do any other work. You pay your $2,000 and you go teach them, and you will see jobs that want a CELTA. They might pay more than a TEFL. What I would say to you is, if you're not sure whether this industry is for you, or you just want to do this for a little bit, okay, go do a Level 5 course, or do like our 120-hour course, and just do that because you will get work like that. If you are 100% sure that you want to be a TEFL teacher, and you're 100% sure that maybe you're never going to come back to your country, pay the money to go do a CELTA. But I think at the moment you're taking a big risk because you don't know what's going to happen with all of that. Okay. Now, the other thing you've put in there is TESOL. So we are TEFL org, Teaching English as a Foreign Language. TESOL is Teaching English as a Second or Other Language. Okay. What are the differences? TEFL is for people outside of an English-speaking country who want to learn English. So if you're in Japan or China or Spain and people want to learn English, you're teaching English out there, you are a TEFL teacher. Now, to complicate it even more, the Americans tend to call it TESL, Teaching English as a Second Language. pretty much the same thing. Okay. I mean, you could disagree on a few bits, and I'm sure people with PhDs do disagree on a few bits, but basically the same thing. Now, if you're in the UK and you're teaching English to people in the UK who want to learn English, tends to be people like refugees that live in the UK. And this is the same if you're in America or Australia or New Zealand, an English-speaking country. That you teach TESOL, TESOL, teaching English as a second or other language. Okay. So that's the difference between TEFL and TESOL. Okay. If you're in the UK teaching people who want to live and spend the rest of their lives in the UK, you're going to teach TESOL. If not, you're going to abroad, you're going to teach TEFL. Okay. Hope that helps you. Katie, hello. You're planning on moving to France and teaching online from there. Lovely. You mentioned there isn't much demand in France, but there are EU companies EU companies you know of. I could teach online in other countries from France. Right. Now, Katie, the online companies that want to recruit teachers tend to not be European. Okay, they tend to be Asian companies that want to recruit people to teach online to people in Asia. Okay, teaching in online, right? In Europe, students like to go to their local language school. So, for example, in Spain, every town has maybe one, sometimes two or three, and sometimes 20 or 30 language schools. Now, during COVID, a lot of these European schools, they set themselves up online to keep the money coming in. So what they did was the teachers that were already there, teaching for them in the classrooms, have gone online, and they have used their teachers to teach the students around them online. There aren't that many EU companies that I know of. I can't even think of any, to be honest, that recruit teachers to teach to European students from within the EU. Okay, most online EU people teach Asian students. Okay, that tends to be it. What I would do if I was you, I would try and set yourself up on something like Italki to try and teach students around in France. And you can say, look, I have a good knowledge of French. I speak French really well. I can help you with that kind of thing. And then you get yourself going like that. Okay. Or you set yourself up your own website and you see what you can do that, recruit some students. Okay. Hope that helps you. I'm not sure it did. John, hello. Regarding assessing the student's level, are there any standardized tests that can be used? Where can we find these tests? Yeah. If you type into Google placement tests, EFL placement tests or ESL placement tests, and then you might want to specify it a bit. Business placement test, business English placement tests, or general English placement tests, whatever it might be, you'll find some sort of document you can download. And then what tends to happen is the questions, placement tests tend to generally be some sort of grammar test and then some sort of speaking test. So the students do the grammar test and you would mark the answers correct. And then the test should tell you, okay, did they get 10 out of 50 correct? They are elementary. Did they get 40 out of 50 correct? Okay, they are upper intermediate. And then you start teaching to an upper intermediate level. The speaking component of it tends to be a list of questions that you've downloaded from the internet, and they start very simple. Hello, what's your name? If they can answer that well, then you go to the next one. What are your hobbies? And then you go to the next one and you keep going so they get more difficult. And then you might get through to the intermediate level and say, okay, what are the advantages and disadvantages of living in your town? Something like that, something a bit more difficult. And then you keep going until they get a bit stuck. And then the speaking test will say something like, okay, are they having trouble here? They're intermediate. Okay. Or you just keep going until you could go. And could you tell me a scientific development that has improved your life somewhat? Or can you tell me the implications that a politician's decision has had on your life? Something like a bit really difficult that would get them down to the advanced level, all that kind of thing. All right. I hope that has helped you where you can find those. Okay. Good. Now, one thing I just want to add is that A good placement test will also test reading, will also test listening, will also test writing. Okay, it depends on you. If you're going to, John, if you're going to go teach writing, a lot of writing, you need to see their standard writing, because some nationalities, for example, Arabic nationalities, their speaking is a lot better than their writing. A lot of Asian countries, their writing is much better than their speaking. Okay, so just testing the speaking and the grammar tends to not be enough. Okay. Hello, Tatenda. Hello. Hi, Carl. Hello. Will work experience, for example, a primary school teacher on top of the TEFL certificate, make you more ideal for recruiters? Yes, definitely, Tatenda. Any sort of teaching experience, even if it's not TEFL experience, will help you. Okay, so just put that on your CV. Recruiters, companies, schools will like that. Okay. Hello, Adam. Good. I'm glad that the textbooks contents pages of curriculum. Good. I'll probably do that with a potential student who's aiming for an IELTS. Okay. Would you recommend any particular textbook for IELTS? Perhaps the one you just showed. Right. Right. The first thing you need to work out for IELTS is what is their target. Okay. So this book is aiming for people who want to get 6.5. Now, Adam, your student might only want to get IELTS 5. So you want to go with a textbook that will help them to get to that level. Okay. So you got to find out what grade in IELTS do they need. Okay. Don't just teach them IELTS, teach to a specific grade. Okay. All right. So go with that. Okay. Then, unfortunately, it's probably what textbook can you get hold of? Okay, so textbooks can be quite expensive. That one I think is about 40 quid, something like that it cost me. So what textbooks can you get hold of? And there are different ways of getting hold of textbooks. That's all I'm going to say. Amazon or local shops, depends where you are in the world, depends to be how expensive they are. Okay, so try and get a textbook that maybe you can get and also your student can get if you're teaching online. Just go from that. And then that one's a pretty good one, Target IELTS. Or the other thing you can do is you can get IELTS textbooks that just deal with individual skills. So there's pretty good, like, for example, Collins IELTS for writing is good. So you might buy the writing one, the reading one, the listening one, and the speaking one. And then you go from that and you teach. Today we're doing a writing lesson. Tomorrow we're doing a listening lesson. Tomorrow we're doing a reading lesson. Tomorrow we're doing a speaking lesson. Hope that helps. I think that's it, everybody. I'm really sorry about the start. I hope I made up for it from answering all your questions. If I didn't get to your questions, I'm really sorry. Thank you all for tuning in. I just hope you have a nice weekend. Okay, guys. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Bye.